In this video, we're going to talk about the Systemology roadmap. That is, what are some of the key milestones that you'll go through as you start to roll Systemology out inside your organization. Now, there's a good chance you're going to be very familiar with the first sprint because it's what I talk about in the Systemology book. This idea of capturing your critical client flow, getting very clear on your primary target audience, thinking about what is the product or service that you sell to them, and then capturing the essential systems in the journey that the client and the business goes through to deliver that core product or service. And it enables you to apply the 80-20 rule to your business, to really focus in on just the 20% of the systems that have the biggest impact in getting the business to be able to deliver that core product or service without key person dependency. Now, I know that was a little bit of a mouthful, and if you've been following along and watching the videos and looking at the Systemology book, I think that stage is going to be very familiar to you. Where a lot of people kind of get stuck is they think, once they get that in place, they're done. And really, that's just the starting point. Then we move into the second milestone, which is achieving what we call minimum viable systems, MVS. And that is where we start to expand beyond the critical client flow and think, what are the other essential systems that need to be in place for scale? In the Systemology book, this really focuses in on that scale stage, stage number 6. And when you reach minimum viable systems and you have the minimum number of systems required in each of the different departments, that's really an inflection point. While you can see some wins as you start to roll out your critical client flow, where things really start to take off is where you reach minimum viable systems. Because systems are starting to touch all parts of the organization, and you're starting to build up the habits necessary to get on the path and make sure that the whole team is on board. So that's sprint number 2. Now, sprint number 3 is where we start to focus in on the recruitment, onboarding, and management of team members. Now, in the earlier 2 sprints, we really heavily focus on this idea of capturing only what you're currently doing, not what you would like to be doing, and we are looking to duplicate existing best practice to bring everybody up to that stage. Sprint number 3 is actually a little bit different because we actually start to re-engineer the recruitment, the onboarding, and those management systems to weave in system thinking to all of those aspects. So we start to attract in our recruitment process team members that will already resonate with this systems thinking. And when we onboard, we start to weave in, this is how we do things here. And you teach through systems and processes and help team members understand to move up in your organization that they need to be capturing what they're currently doing through the use of systems and processes and delegate them down so that they can free themselves up to work on higher value tasks and move up inside your organization. And lastly, when it comes through to management, again, we start to weave in systems into your management processes, whether that's getting the right meeting cadences or how particular issues are identified in your organization and then addressed and reviewed with a systems perspective and a systems mindset. How do we solve this from the system perspective? And make sure that we always look to blame the system first rather than the team member, so we can go to work on improving those systems and processes for everybody. So that's sprint number 3. Once you do that, you're really well and truly on your path to achieving complete business reliability. Now, the sprint number 4 is where we start to think about business systems optimization, which is also the final stage in the Systemology process. And that's when we start to put in all of the right infrastructure required for you to then to start strategically going to work on your systems. We install a dashboard and we start monitoring the business and listening to what the business needs to help direct us as to what areas we should go to work on. There's a little bit more in that, but that's really where we can then start to leverage off best practices that might be happening in other industries or other businesses that are industry leaders in our particular space, and we can start to pull some of those best practices into your organisation to really start to accelerate things. If you want to learn a little bit more about the Systemology roadmap, head over to systemology.com and you can go ahead and book in with one of the team, and I'm sure they can guide you through the process, find out where you're up to and where you should go next.